So at IAS, what we found, I mean, just documentation alone within an AI governance program is quite substantial, right? So especially as you see out the certifications and see all of the requirements around documentation. So for us, it was an exercise of figuring out what policies and procedures exist that could just be extended to include AI specific components, right?
Mhm.
So if it's AI follows, creation of AI follows your change management program. How do you update those documents to state that it is inclusive of AI, right? Or where are there instances where you now need to create an AI policy, overarching policy, right? Like it's its own document. Or if, I mean, most companies have an existing risk assessment process. So really understanding the use case of AI in your environment and then adding in those additional risks to an already established risk assessment process. Or do you have such significant risk around AI that you need to create your own AI specific risk assessment that needs to be considered? I think really understanding AI in your environment and then figuring out how to add in clauses or create things that are new, just depending on, how much is there, how much it's nuanced or changed from something that already exists in your organization.
Yeah, I think in knowing your AI, right? Because there's so many different use cases, right? You have folks who are developing, some who are deploying it, some are just using it internally. There's so many possibilities that you really have to think about how your organization is doing it. Talking about our responsible AI certification, I think you can use the certification in a couple ways. One of those is to do that assessment on your organization, right? So even if you're not at a maturity level that you want to be, it can be a tool that you use to figure out, well, what do we need to start working on? And also that report can sometimes help you get exec buy-in because you can go demonstrate like, look, we've got a lot of gaps, we've got a lot of risk. We need some resources, whether that be, financial people, et cetera, but we need resources. Anyway, I know that your organization has been trustees certified for the Responsible AI certification. And so why did Integral Ad Science decide to go that route? And
Yeah, so we were already familiar with TrustArc. We've obtained other certifications with you, also worked with you on just some assessments of our alignment with frameworks or compliance with GDPR or the US data privacy framework. So we knew the quality of going through your processes and getting your feedback. So when we were looking for opportunities for AI certification, we looked at your TRUSTe Responsible AI certification and really liked the way it incorporated multiple sets of standards and frameworks, right? So when we were going through it, it gave us confidence that we were really looking at our compliance against a greater set of requirements. There
yeah.
was also a lot of discussion about how you continue to assess upcoming and new requirements and standards that are coming out. So it gave us confidence as we recertify in subsequent years, we'll continue to be assessed and compliant with the most up-to-date set of standards. Because again, the burden of everything coming at us, right, from a regulation and standards and requirements perspective, we do our best to keep up with it, but it's again always nice to have that external sounding board to make sure we've really considered everything that's out there that
Yeah.
might be relevant to our organization.
Well, I appreciate that you have that confidence in us. I do want to talk about sort of those that map. We do a lot of mapping here, I will say, because frankly there is so much to map. But when we built the certification, one of the things we did is we looked at all manner of guidance, frameworks, standards. We looked at, there wasn't a lot of finalized legislation, but we looked at what was out there. We looked at a lot of draft legislation in various regions, looked at executive orders, industry standards, et cetera. And as you start to consume all of those, what I noticed is I would start to see patterns in these different frameworks and standards, regulations as well. And that's sort of how we came up with our framework for responsible AI. As you mentioned, we sort of continue to do that, right? We continue to track what's coming in, what laws have been passed, how are they different than what's out there, what do we need to add? Because we know that, in those slides I shared previously, there's that whole spoke of things that you have to consider. So if we could at least cover the AI portion, hopefully that is a helpful tool for you. But so that's what our AI certification is based on. Again, you get access to those operational templates that we built because we know that those resources are needed. It's a lot of work, especially if you've already put your data governance in place. That is always a continuing evolving area as well. So now you've got maybe multiple things. But like I said, it can also be used as a tool to get buy-in from executives if you just need to assess from the outset, right? Where you're standing and where you're at.